right, welcome to the Real Estate Jam Session. I've got a very special guest today, Mitch Stephen. Mitch is in a very niche part of the market. And Mitch, thank you for coming on today.
Hey, I really appreciate being here, Joe. You know, it's always fun to meet a new audience and to get to know them.
I've got a good group too. We've got a lot of first-time investors. What you're doing with, buying the homes. Now, you said you buy a home every few days, correct?
I have purchased a home in or about my hometown of San Antonio, Texas, every 4 to 5 days for over 2.5 decades. About 100 houses a year for 25 years.
Sourcing that, first of all, has got to be, well, I guess you've been into it. Excuse me, I keep losing my voice. How did you get started flipping homes? What can you kind of give us how you got the process to get you where you're at?
Yeah, I had failed at everything else, and it was the last thing left. And if I didn't make good on that, I was just going to go shoot myself.
Okay.
So it was, there you go. No, actually, I bought my own little place one time with seller financing. I was bartending and couldn't qualify for a loan because I was all cash.
Cash, yeah.
And one of my clients wanted to sell something, and I wanted to buy it. He seller financed me because I could save money, and I did have a down payment. And then I turned around and I bought another place like that from someone else. And then I sold them both one day because someone made me an offer, and I put more money in the bank than it would take me, in over a year of working if I didn't spend one dime of what I made. And so I thought, how do I do this again? And then I started looking into the big, huge, wide world of creative real estate investing. And that's where it all started. But it was a long, long road to get, to where and how I'm at now. But
so you just start sourcing these from real estate agents? Is that how you did it? I mean, I understand now that you probably have, if anybody needs to sell, they just go right over to Mitch, but it couldn't have been that way in the beginning.
People don't come over to me. I go to them. I find very difficult situations, or I go through the courthouse records. I mean, I may mail out 20,000 pieces of mail to the owners of houses, absentee owners. They own a house that they don't live at. And then what I'm looking for is the 400 return postcards or the 500 return postcards. That means my letter didn't get to them and nobody's letter got to them. Now I'm gonna find them and buy their house. That's where my, I may get a call off the letter or the postcard, but I don't even count that. I'm trying to find the hard to find person and get with them. Sometimes these people are in other countries. Yeah. Sometimes they're, so I buy these houses because I'm a pro at locating people that have problems that are not locating or that are not contacting me. I find them and I address them.
Okay. Now you also carry the loans in, right?
Well, so let's start from the beginning. I do seller financing. I seller finance my buyers. Right. There's acquisition, there's funding, and there's selling. So we're going to kind of start backwards here, but we'll cover it all. First of all, in order to acquire anything at a discount, you have to know what you can sell it for.
Right.
So how I establish my OFV, and I coined the OFV, the acronym. There's the the ARV and the MAO, the MAO and all that. But there was never an owner finance value until now. That's the OFV is the owner finance value. What is the value of this property based on the rents? And the basic theory is, if there is a person paying $1,500 for rent, we can pretty much assume, within reason, most of them, 85, 90, 95, I don't know what the number is, some percentage, a large percentage of them would rather own for $1,500 a month than rent if they just had an option to.
Right.
And so that's my basic core belief, is that most of the renters out there, be it 78% or 83% or 87%, well, I don't even know what the percent is, but most of them would rather own. So I go and I find the rents, and I have this formula. If you want your pencil and paper, you can write it down. You take the rent for that 3-2 home that you're thinking of buying. What would it rent for in that neighborhood, in that zip code? What is the rent? and you subtract out the monthly taxes and the monthly insurance, because that's nobody's money. That belongs to the tax man and the insurance man. And so if you take $1,000 rent, I'm just using $1,000 because I know the numbers here. Sure. And the taxes are 100 and the rent and the insurance is 50. So you minus 150 from 1,000, you get 850. Now you could go, that's how much this person has for principal and interest payment, $850. So I gotta figure the price back into that 850. So if you take 850, you could go to an amortization schedule and you could put in 850 for the PI payment. And then you could put in 10% for the interest and 30 years for the term. And you could solve for the balance, and you can find out what size loan, how much money they could borrow to end up with a payment of 850, right?
Okay.
Or you could just multiply by 115. Okay. So you multiply 850 by 115, you'll get a number really close to the amortization software number. It comes out to be what is it? $77,750, which is $78,000 in my world. This man can afford to borrow $78,000 and have a payment of $850 if I'm charging him 10% and the term is 30 years. So that's what he can pay. That's how much loan he can borrow, how much money he can borrow. So what does that make the sales price? Well, I just add 12% on top, and and that becomes my price. I made a mistake here. When you multiply 850 times 115, it comes out to $97,750. And so that's $98,000. If you add 12% on top of that, you're going to come to a number that looks really close to $110,000. That's my owner finance value. That's the price I'm going to sell it for. And I don't give a damn what the MI appraiser says. I have sold properties in the middle of the recession that I bought for 27, that there was 30 comps in the neighborhood that said it was worth 27,000, and the rent said it was 59, and I sold my houses for 59 because I'm the underwriter, I'm the bank, I decide yes or no. There is no one to tell me, there is no appraisal needed, there is no inspection needed. If my buyer wants to buy a house from me at 59,000, I will finance him for 30 years at 10%. And where did I come up with the 59,000? Because I backed into his rent. So this renter can choose to be a renter for the rest of his life, or he can buy his same house, but across the street from me for the same as he's paying rent. The only separator is, do you have $12,000 or whatever, 10% or more down? It works all the time. So I was selling in the recession over 100% over the comps to people who could never get a loan in their life except for someone like me. And it made sense because, well, 10%, Mitch, that's a little high interest rate. No, what's high is paying $1,200 a month for something you don't even own. That's high. And then it's going to be $1,400 a month next month. It's going to be $1,400 a month next year. And God knows what it's going to be 15 years from now. And what will the rent be 25 years from now? You know, that's high. You know, so I give people a chance to get out from the cycle, get a fixed payment for 30 years and get all the appreciation, all the tax write-off, and all the pride of ownership. And if they want to add a porch or a pool, it's all to their benefit and it's all to their appreciation. So that's my argument, and it's worked for 27 years. I don't need to retest the case. I know some people out there might want to argue with me, but you can argue all you want. So here we go. I know that I can buy that. I know I can sell the house for 110. So now I can go negotiate to try to get a deal. I never buy my houses over 65%. I want to be all in at 65%. That's repairs, closing costs, everything. I don't borrow more than 65%. If I want to pay a little more than 65% for the house because it's a hot market or I like the deal for some reason, I got to come up with the other 5%. My private lenders are never in over 65%. And in fact, my average loan amount is 58% of the OFV, or the owner finance value, based on the rents. Okay. So now I go out there and I negotiate to buy this house for, say, $50,000. People go, well, how do you buy a $110,000 house at 50? Well, first of all, it was probably just a $100,000 house, but because I'm owner financing it, I can sell over the market a little bit, if not a lot. But in today's times, since house prices are going up so fast, rents haven't had a chance to catch up. The comps and the owner finance value based on the rent formula are about equal right now. As a matter of fact, the sales comps might even be higher than the owner finance formula based on the rents, because the rents haven't had a chance to catch up to the increase in prices. So I look at both situations. I look at the comps and I look at the rent formula, and I sell my house for whichever one is the highest number. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go in and negotiate. You know, there's a lot of reasons why people sell a house at 40 cents on the dollar or 50 cents on the dollar. And I wrote a book on it called My Life in 1,000 Houses, 200 plus ways to find bargain properties. And there I describe all the places I go to find people in situations that don't have time, because it's the hottest market on the planet right now. If you have time to sell your house, you don't need a discount. You'll probably get multiple offers over your asking price, you know. Yeah. But the people I'm talking to don't have this luxuries, or these houses have title flaws, or they're not any house, the house can't even get a loan. There's some problem somewhere. You know, maybe the man hasn't paid child support in so long, he's fixing to go to jail in 5 days. He don't have time to list his house. He's got to come up with $37,000 for past due child support right now, or he's going to jail for 10 years. Okay. I mean, I just live in this world where I know where these train wrecks happen. Yeah. And I stay there, you know. Sure. And I don't cause the train wreck, and someone's going to get the house, and it just as well be me.
There's money to be made in chaos. My dad used to say that.
Yeah, wealth comes from chaos. I write that in my book. I did not invent that quote. I think it's anonymous, but I write wealth comes from chaos, because that's you know, when everything's settled, there's no place to make any money usually. Someone already figured it out. So now I'm going in, and here's a typical deal, and follow me closely here. So I decide I can get this house for $50,000. I borrow $50,000 from a private lender, and I give them a first lien on this property that I'm going to sell for 110. Does that sound like a pretty protected position? You're either going to get paid as agreed, or you're going to get a house that I am going to seller finance at 10% for 30 years for 110,000. That, I think, is a pretty minimal risk loan for a private lender to make. And I have a course called, you know, Private Money Changes Everything. I think it is the only raising private money course in the world that has seller financing as the backdrop. There's lots of how to raise money, but it's usually for rent houses or for fix and flips or something else. Mine deals with owner financing in the backdrop, talking to your lender, why your business works, how they're protected, lien positions, all this stuff. And so someone loans me $50,000 at 8% for 15 years. I know that sounds crazy to you guys, but I have $26 million of 8% 15-year fixed, fully amortized money, non-recourse, collateral only, and wrappable, which means I can sell the house to someone on payments and not have to pay off my lender. I wrap my incoming payment around the payment I owe, i.e. a wrap mortgage. Okay. So I sell this house for 110 with 12,000 down. I carry 98,000. The guy's paying me, say, like $850 a month, and I'm paying out like $350 to my private lender. I'm keeping a $500 a month positive cash flow, of which that is really my money for sure. I got paid $12,000 upfront because I have no money in this deal. The $12,000 down payment goes in my pocket. Yep. The $850 comes in, $350 goes out, and $500 is mine. And unlike rent, see, when you're a landlord, you could collect that $850 all day long for months, but you don't know if the spread is yours or not. You don't know if that $500 positive cash flow is yours or not, because if the air conditioner breaks, apparently you've been collecting this money for the air conditioning man, because you're going to have to hand it to him. When you're collecting, when you're a lien lord, and I like to use the word lien lord. I'm not a landlord. I'm a lien lord. And the difference
First I heard that, yes.
When my money comes in, I don't have to give it away to anybody, because it's not my house. If the air conditioner breaks, it's not my house. If the roof leaks, it's not my roof. Okay. So this is a very, very dependable and durable cash flow that you can count on. The mindset of a owner is completely different than the mindset of a renter. They are financially invested, and they're not just invested by the down payment. Typically, within a very short period of time, my people will not only have given me a 10% or better down payment, they will have added a porch, put in sod, put in sprinkler systems, repainted, new windows, new roof, They will do all these improvements. So they get invested emotionally and more financially as they go, because they're fixing their house. And then there's appreciation that racks up over the years. They don't want to walk away from that either. That's why in COVID, Joe, my foreclosure rate didn't move 1 decimal point. They're not going to walk away from this house.
Right.
They got too much in it. They got way too much to lose. You know, I had a couple of people call me.
Sure. Had to do a little workout.
Yep. They were, I had some people call me, about 8 out of 300. I had 8 call me. 6 of them wanted to know if I was going to do what the federal government was demanding of me and forgive their mortgage payments. I said, well, I'm not federally backed. I got some bad news for you. They're not, they don't have no, they don't got no authority over me. So I suggest you make your house payment if you want to keep your house.
Right.
Says, well, the courthouses aren't even open, so you can't foreclose on me. I said, I can't today, but I'll just let it keep racking up with late fees. And then when they do open, you're going to have a problem, and I'm going to get your house, and I'll be happy to have it. Just or make your payment.
Resell it.
You know, here's the good news. I can wait as long as we need.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get your house.
Yeah.
You're going to lose.
Yeah, we saw some of that around the country. Now, I got to ask, because I keep hearing 8%, 10%. Do you get kickback on the interest rates often?
What does that mean?
They're, I mean, compared to a traditional loan, they're high. But you know.
Well, yeah, but so
putting a risk.
I'm borrowing $50,000 at 8%. My payment's like $350. Okay.
Yep.
I'm selling the house at 110,000 with 12,000 down.
Right.
I'm carrying the 98,000 at 10% for 30 years. I am making 2% on the borrowed money because I'm borrowing at 8, but I'm loaning out at 10. So I'm making 2% on the borrowed money, but I'm making the full 10% on the difference between 98,000 and 50. On 48,000, I'm making the full 10% return. This is why my ROIs are so high.
Yeah.
Well, the ROI is infinity. Not only do I not have any of my money in it, someone handed me $12,000 to make the loan. It's incalculatable.
Yeah.
It goes beyond infinity. It's like infinity plus, because I got, not only do I have no money in it, I got paid, you know, up front.
Now, do you, how many homes do you have right
now? 300. I try to get to 500, but you can't. I mean, I can't. I've tried my hardest, because every time I put 20 in, when you have 300 loans, 10 or 15 pay off that month, which I don't want people to pay me off. I want to keep my money going, because I have 15-year money. I'd set it, forget it. I'm just making the arbitrage. When they pay me off, I got to take a lump sum, damn it. Yeah. And then I got to go find someone to put it. That's when I started my forever strategy of buying storages. When I get all these lump sums, instead of having to get them out in another loan that's going to pay off, you know, the average 30-year mortgage in America lasts 7.5 years.
Right.
Something happens. They pay you off. They win the lottery. Normally, my people are not going to get refinanced. They're flawed. They're inherently flawed. That's why they're dealing with me in the first place. And just because they own a home and they have a balloon in 5 years doesn't mean they're going to go all of a sudden become a person that's credit conscious. They're just not. They'll never make their car payment on time for more than 4 months in a row. They'll never pay the utility on time for, you know, whatever the reason is. They're just flawed. So that's why I took having balloons out of my system, because I was constantly faced with taking these people's houses because they never could straighten their ass out enough to be refiable. You know, what happens is they put the house up for sale because they want a bigger house or a different house or whatever.
You get paid off.
Yeah, and then the realtor calls and I'm getting a payoff because they got a new loan buyer. So this is a beautiful, beautiful, durable, dependable strategy, because you can count on the money coming in as being yours. Unlike rent, you're not responsible for things that you don't even know about in the future. The only time you have to give any of the money out is when you got to pay a foreclosure attorney to foreclose. Right. But you pay them $800 out of your money, and then they give you back the keys to the house and the deed, and then you go find another person with another 12,000, if not 15,000 or 18,000. You know what I mean? And you just get your 800 back plus a bunch again. Plus, you know, if I get that, we figured it out, Joe. we didn't have an increase in our foreclosures during COVID, but the courthouses weren't open, so we couldn't address the few foreclosures that we always had. We have about a 1% foreclosure rate.
Okay.
We couldn't address them. So over the year or so, they started to mount up. There was 3, and then there was 5, and then there was 10. We had 27 people that were in foreclosure because the courthouses weren't opening and weren't processing anybody.
Right.
So the day that the courthouse was going to open, we sent them all a letter and said, you know, you are going to be in next Tuesday's foreclosure. If you don't settle up with us, we're going to foreclose on you in the next foreclosure dates, you know, the first Tuesday of the month. 24 of them came and settled up with us. I collected $140,000 in less than 10 days, and I collected every late fee for every month. It was the most extraordinary year of collecting payments ever because they paid a late fee for every single month.
So they had the money, they just weren't paying you.
Right. And then the few that didn't, one of them had burned down, and we got with the insurance and we kind of broke even on that deal. The other 2 had been really great payers, but they really were affected by COVID. They had recovered, but they couldn't catch up. And, you know, we're not in this business to take people's houses. I'm not in that business to do that. I'm in the, once I sell a house, I don't ever want to see it again. And I hope your grandkids inherit it. Yeah. And so they were good people. They never caused me any problems. They were earnest people. They told me the truth. They tried hard. They were trying. I could see it. I just redid their note and moved their past due payments to the back end of the note.
That's good business. That's good business. Smart business.
Well, you know, one of these days, Joe, it can happen to any of us, any day. If you think, you know, I'm a multi-millionaire, it can happen to me tomorrow. God wants me to experience some downtime. I'm going to experience it. You know, that's how I feel about it. So I better be good to the people that I might have to sleep with sometime. You know what I mean? Or have to spend the night at their house because it could happen to anybody.
I agree. Yeah, it's just good business. You know, it's really a way to do it. Now, so you're buying the properties, you're refining them. It seems like there's going to be a lot of tax situations here.
All right, so let's talk about that. Number one, when you sell or finance the house, you lose appreciation and you lose depreciation. Okay, that's the 2 things. But I just bought a house for 50 and I sold it for 100 in less than 30 days. Like, let's put the appreciation thing on the wayside. How much appreciation do you damn landlords want? I bought a house for 50 and sold it for 100 in less than 30 days. You want to annualize that? Okay, so let's just take appreciation off the table because I got that handled because I'm a professional at buying at a discount. Depreciation. You do these houses until you buy 150 or 200 unit mini storage, or you buy a 50 unit apartment complex. Get your depreciation and appreciation over there.
Yeah.
You have to have a phase 2. Phase 1 is making the money. And in this particular strategy, you don't have a lot of appreciation and tax benefits. So you just take the money you make and you buy that property that counteracts that. You know, I just bought a $2.8 million storage facility. You know, that's a lot of depreciation.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Where'd you get your facility? You don't go out of Texas, right?
Not normally, not typically. Okay. I have before, but you know, like I said, I learned to stay in my lane, and I learned that there's more opportunity where I understand the culture, where I know the rules, where I have the connections, where I have my team, where, you know, there's no need for me to leave the proximity around me.
Do what you know.
Yeah. And I have people call me and says, you know, it's probably a great deal, but I don't know anything about Missouri. You know, I don't know anything about their people. I don't know anything about their culture. I don't know shit. So, you know, I know my culture here. Right. And I know my councilman, and I know I know people. I've been here for 40 something years, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to do business where you know everybody. Yeah, you've got to do something like this. I don't know that it's going to work here in Los Angeles.
It won't. Your houses are too expensive. Yeah. You know, the seller financing strategy works in affordable houses. Yeah. I like to say I deal in Walmart houses for Walmart people. The day that my theory and my comfort is the day that those little 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot houses are worth zero is the day it don't matter where your money was. Yeah. It ain't any good. We're picking up arms. We're going somewhere. The day those little houses aren't worth any money is the day that it doesn't matter where you had your money.
Mhm.
That's my personal opinion. I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong, but that's how I live. And the reason why I have non-recourse collateral only loans, and I'm paying money for that. I'm paying 8% or 9% or 10%. I'm paying a premium to have that kind of money. And it's not because, well, let me tell you, it's because I've always been deathly afraid of something catastrophic out of my ability to fix, or not my fault. And so if you want, I'll give you 8 or 9%, but I'm not going to sign personally, because you have to share in the catastrophic downside in the event it ever happens. I'm not guaranteeing that a meteor is not going to hit this planet, because I have no power to guarantee that. I'm not guaranteeing that Kim Jong dumbass isn't going to drop a nuclear bomb and down. I have nothing. I have no way to guarantee to stop it.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't want all my forever plans that I built the last 27 years, building these storages from 15 units to 1,300 doors. I don't want that to be taken away from me for something that was not my friggin' fault.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to pay a premium to not have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I always want to have the comfort. And the reason why I can owe $26 million is because it's non-recourse. I'm either going to pay them as agreed, or I'm going to walk them over my position in this property, whether I have a deed or I have a first lien note. I'm going to walk if I ever can't pay, that's my promise.
Yeah.
I tell my private lenders this every single time when they're new and they're about to make their first loan. I make it a point. I'm talking to them and says, now look, we're about to consummate this loan. I have 2 rights every day of my life. If you make this loan to me, I have 2 rights to deal with you. I have the right to pay as agreed, or I have the right at any time I want to walk you my position in this property. Here's my promise. You'll never have to sue me. If I can't make the payment, or I don't want to make the payment, I will find you and I will bring you the papers on that day that I'm late.
Yeah.
Or can't make
Integrity.
it. You know, yeah, because it's not about that. If the money's coming in, there's no reason in the world. One thing I've done really well, Joe, is I never robbed Peter to pay Paul, because that's how you get in the snowball. That's how you get. When I have a problem, we write the check. We deal with it right now. We don't let it grow. We don't let problems. This house is a problem, and then another house is a problem. We don't let them stack up. We deal with our problems right when they're there. And if we have to write a check, here's the good news. I have never, ever given a house to anyone in my career. I've never been foreclosed on in my career. I never filed chapter 7, 13, 12, 11, or whatever they are. I never filed any of that. All of this by the grace of God, and that I have some guidelines that I don't ever fudge. You know, I have some guidelines that, you know, I don't borrow more than 65%. That margin is not just there for my private lenders. It's there for me too, to protect me.
Absolutely.
You know, I got people clamoring, I can give you 90 cents on all those houses. I don't, you know, 90 cents is dangerous. This deal won't work at 65. I don't do it. And if someone loans me money, whether it's my mother or a stranger from Florida, that happened yesterday, it's all the same guidelines. There's no mother-in-law deal. There's nothing. There's only one set of guidelines, and it's the ones I've been living with for 27 years, and they've been working just fine.
Yeah, it gets to be too much to remember. If you're giving this to this person, this to this person, you're all over the place. If you just keep it one level across the board, easy to remember.
And that cost me some business sometimes, because they want me to modify. I said, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
This is how it is. And you know what, but what I was really saying was, you know, it's not 65% for my family and 70% for some stranger. I don't ever loan over 65%. You know, I mean, everybody gets treated the same. It don't matter if it's my money, my mom's money, or my dad's money, or a complete stranger's money. It's all the same guidelines, always. And that's what's kept me out of trouble. And that's why I have $26 million in private money. I didn't start out with 26 million. I started out with 30,000 from one guy, you know, and I paid him back, and I paid him back, and I paid him back, and I paid him back. And then he added a little more, and I paid him back. And then he ran out of money. So he introduced me to someone else, and I paid them, and they ran out of money. And then they introduced me to someone else because I still needed money. Here's the problem. I'm not a fix and flip in and out guy. When I sell my house, I need the person I'm carrying the loan for is potentially on my books for 30 years.
Yeah.
I need long-term money. I either need a 15-year am straight, and this is where the interest rates vary. 15 years straight amortization. You want to loan me money on a 15-year am? Then it's 10%. You want a 15-year am with a 10-year balloon? Then it's 9%.
Okay.
You want a 15-year with a 7-year balloon? Then it's 8%. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to shorten me down, I won't borrow money for less than 5 years, because 5 years goes like the snap of a finger. If you ever want to know, if I have a 30-year note and I have a 15-year am with a 5-year balloon, how do I handle the potential train wreck in 5 years? On my blog, I wrote 12 pages on it. There are so many ways out of this thing that it's not even funny. And I wrote 12 pages on it at 1000houses.com. Just find my blog and look for the blog titled "Why I Borrow at the Terms I Do." And there I explain why I borrow at the terms I do, everything about the terms and why, and how I deal with the conflicting deadlines. You know, I got a 30-year note with my guy, but it's at 100% over what I owe. It'll take 17 years for their debt to get down to what I owe.
Right.
In 17 years, what will that note be worth? I mean, how liquidatable is that note? You know, I mean, geez, the house will be worth a freaking fortune and the debt will be down to nothing. I mean, there's so many ways out of this. It's not funny, but I explained them all.
Yeah.
And one of them is note hypothecation, where you pledge your notes to a bank and you clear out all your 8%, 9%, 10% lenders for 4% in a 15-year fixed loan.
Yeah.
You just pledge your notes. When you pledge your note as collateral for a loan, it's called hypothecating your note. And so we do a lot of note hypothecation. But we have to be very careful, because the banks want me to hypothecate the entire 26 million. But if I do that, then all my private lenders, their ROI on their money is getting wrecked. So I have to take a little from this portfolio, a little from that portfolio, and I have to spread it all around. And I just have to do it. And then I have to take a quarter to get all their money back out. And then I do it again. And I try to pick different people this time. You know what I mean? Like I got to look out for the people that look out for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And the banks don't like when you pay that loan back.
Well, I'm using the bank money to pay off all my 8% money, and I'm pledging my notes because I don't own the house anymore. I sold it to someone on payments, and they are the taxpayer of record, and I'm just a lien holder. So I pledge my notes to clear out. And what that does is it frees up. Let's just say I got $3 million worth of notes that I bought houses with. I got $6 million owed to me from the people that bought the house from me. I go to the bank and I go, look, I got $6 million worth of notes I'd like to pledge for $3 million worth of debt. I want to clear up this 8% debt with your 4% 15-year fixed money. And so I'll replace it. And now I freed up $3 million of my private money so I can go back to town and start buying houses again. It's like this endless circle. Borrow it from the private people, get it established, cash them out with the bank, give them back their money, and then take it back out to town and keep buying houses. So it's a big subject. We're scratching on it a little bit, but
it is. It's a great way to do it. There can't be that many people doing what you're doing, is there?
There really isn't. And I don't know, but 20 years ago, I started teaching this. There was nobody. So I wonder part of me wonders if I sparked this. I by no means did I invent seller financing, but I think I perfected it and kind of brought the message to the creative real estate investors as the internet was starting to show different strategies like subject to and nothing down strategies and all that stuff. I was kind of bringing the idea of this strategy into the market. So it'd be kind of interesting to know if any of those people that are out there teaching it now were influenced by me, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It used to be lease to own mostly, right? That was kind of the big way.
Yeah, but the lease to own, I did it and I evolved over to this because what happens is no one ever comes up with the extra money by the time for the option, or they don't get refied. And I'm in court. Supposedly the bigger lease option you get on the day that you make the deal, the better it is. The better day it is, right? You got $100,000 house and someone wants to give you a $30,000 non-refundable lease option fee. Well, that's all great until you get to court and he didn't refi. Now this $30,000 is killing you. The judge is like, he really doesn't like that you're taking $30,000 from these people on this quirky little piece of paper called a option,
Right.
you know, that he doesn't even understand. And so then they just rule against you, or they make it hard on you, or they try to put, you know, so I was doing that. I just didn't like a business where when I had a really great day and had a super option fee fall on my lap, that the next 3 years from now could be my worst problem.
Yeah, I get it. Well, you're a wealth of information. Okay, so is 1,000 houses? That's your podcast?
Yeah, well, you know, you can go to 1000houses.com. That's 1000houses.com. And you can see my podcast. I just recently finished posting 180 10-minute segments on YouTube on everything and anything in my business. If I could think of it, I did a 10-minute segment on it. And I did 180 topics, 10 minutes at a time.
Lord.
Yeah, you can go to YouTube and just go to 1000houses.com/YouTube. But all you have to do is go to 1000houses.com, 1000houses.com. You can see my blogs, my books, my coaching offers, my podcast, you could go over there and get sick of me. I mean, literally sick to your stomach. Like,
I don't know. I think I could sit and listen to you all day. I just love your creativity. You know, I love the way that you handle it. You have your numbers, you know, when you were talking about how these are my numbers, that's it. My father used to say, Joe, some of the best deals you do are the ones you don't do. And, you know,
absolutely. Can I quote him? That's a great quote. Some of the best deals I've ever done were the ones I didn't do.
Yeah. He goes, it's just walk away from it. You'll be getting killed on the deal. But
saying no is a talent. And that's sometimes why people hire me as a consultant, is to hone them in on when to say no and how, and like make them man up to the word no. No is hard to say sometimes. And you can't, some people are so anxious to make deals that they make deals for deal's sake. You don't, you make deals for profit.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And if they don't line up, oh, well, too bad. Next. Yeah. Move along.
You got to look at your time. How much time you got to put time cost on there, because if it's a very marginal deal or there's some big margins, you know, it's probably going to take the same amount of work, but you're not going to make money on the small margin deal. You know,
and how many times have we seen those big margin deals go down to just enough margin deals, you know, because thank God you had the room in them. You know what I mean? Because things can happen.
Yeah.
And that's why people go, my God, why do you have to deal in such big margins? I said, you have no idea the list of things that can happen to me.
Oh, yeah. Hey, do you have your own construction team too? I mean, you buy these houses, do you go in and fix them up?
Well, the answer is yes, but I want to put a caveat. The greatest strategy in all of real estate, as far as little old Mitch Stephen is concerned, is buy it, don't fix it, seller finance it for double, and watch the guy making you payments go over budget, rehabbing your collateral. It is the greatest plan ever on the history of the planet. One is you buy it, and if you don't fix it, you buy it at 8 in the morning, it's for sale at 12 in the afternoon. All the risk is in the rehab, all the theft, all the overage, all the miscalculation. It's all in the rehab. You know, you can buy a house, and I'm just using stupid numbers. I know you're from California, but just don't go with the numbers, go with the theory. Hear me out.
Right. Okay. Yes, sir.
You can buy a house for 40 and put 20 into it, and now I got to sell it. So I got 60 into it now. So now I got to sell it for 120. Or I can buy it for 40, don't do anything to it, and owner finance it for 80. I still doubled my money. One took no time and no risk, and it actually helps me diversify. I could have more houses with less money, you know? And so I'm diversified in more houses. And then the guy goes in and he's putting his money in. I like it so much. How many of us have gone over on a rehab? I've gone over on every rehab I ever estimated. I swear to God, I have never friggin' hit it right ever in my lifetime. So it's so much more fun watching this guy go over budget fixing up my collateral than it is for me to go over budget on my collateral.
Yeah, a lot of them do the work themselves, you know, and that's the thing. Just these construction costs these days, my God, it's just.
Well, in my formula, rent minus taxes and insurance times 115 equals the loan amount plus 12% equals the seller financed amount, or the OFV, the owner financed amount, minus And sometimes it's 50% of the repairs, and sometimes it's 100%. And the reason why you minus 50% sometimes, because if you're in a blue collar area, the blue collar guys will never figure their labor in the cost of repairs because they're going to do it themselves. So if they're not going to figure the cost of the labor, then neither am I. So in the affordable houses in the blue collar parts of town, I only subtract 50% of what it's going to take, or just the materials of what it's going to take to rehab the house. If you get into the upper echelon houses around here, 250, 300,000, which in your part of the country is 700 to $1 million, then these people aren't rehabbing crap. They want the house ready to move into. So I have to subtract 100% of the repairs in that neighborhood.
Okay.
There's the minutia of any business, when you get down to the fine art of it, is a lot. And it's no different with the seller finance strategy and this strategy. There's just a lot of minutia. That's why people hire me to coach them through this strategy. Like the last 3 or 4 people that hired me, one owned 50 rent houses, one owned 100, one had 160. They're saying they have some problem houses. I said, we're going to owner finance you out of the problems. That's the best thing to do with a black cloud rent property, is to owner finance your way out of it. So owner finance it to the next guy. And they just hire me to consult them through that, because you're either going to pay the street or you're going to pay a coach.
Right.
There's no free education.
Right.
There's no free. Even you can think you read the book, you can think you read the instructions. There's just too many variables and too many circumstances, and every deal and every personality is different. People say when they hire me, so what are the steps? I say, I have no idea what the steps are. You are as unique as any baby ever born. Mm-hmm. You know, your talents are different than anybody else's. Your market's different. What you're good at is different. The guy you're negotiating with is unique as anybody there ever was. And I just need to every day talk about what you're doing. And what would I do if I was you after 27 years of getting my huevos kicked in?
Yeah. Well, I a good coach, there's 2 ways to learn. You can go out and either try and do it yourself without a mentor or a coach. And one of them is very expensive. And one of them, you kind of got an idea where you're going and getting some help with.
Now, see, I did it the hard way. I tell everyone I graduated from La Calle U. How good is your Spanish, Joe?
No, so I'm not.
La Calle means the street in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So some people look at me and go, well, where's that? Where's that college? And other people wink at me and like, I get it. You know, it's the most expensive college in the world. It'll take everything you have. It won't give you a certificate. You'll just have to know that you know. And it'll kick you all the way down the street and spit on you. It'll never reach its hand out to help you up. It's always against you. And the other way, you go ahead and pay a known amount.
Yeah. And
you get some counseling, and there's so much less anxiety because you don't have to walk around unsure of what you're doing anymore. I don't know if this is how you do this or if this is the right decision or not. No, you sit down with a pro and you go, well, I don't tell anyone what to do. I just go, all right, I see there's about 4 ways out of this deal, or there's 4 ways into this deal. And if you go this way, there's these problems. If you go that way, there's that problem. Probably the best one is this one, but which one do you want to do?
Yeah.
And they pick one. I said, okay, we're throwing all the rest of the ones out of the way. This is how we're going.
Okay.
And then there's a confidence, in a somewhat of a surety that, we don't have to second guess ourselves right now. This guy's done this a lot, and we're going to go with this. This is what we're doing. It's our best odds. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It's your best odds.
Yeah. I think a good coach is always worth it. Well, Mitch Stephen, thank you very much for coming on today. I wish we had another hour of this. I think I could continue learning. I love what you're doing. Very unique. I think a lot of people can learn from you. We will put your contact information and your 1,000 houses will be on the bottom of the video on this. And so, Mitch, thank you for coming on today.
Yeah. Well, by the way, at 1000houses.com, just on the homepage, I give away so much free stuff. And one of them's an hour and 35-minute presentation on exactly how I sell or finance my houses, the whole thing. I give away so much that the gurus out there are mad at me because they said I give away too much. I say, the people that are going to hire me as a coach, they're going to find me. And those are the ones that are smart enough to know I need to get this guy. That's who I want to coach. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody that has a passion for what you're doing, because this is a lot of work. I mean, I know you make it sound simple, right? But it's a lot of work. You better bring the passion to it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I don't ever say it's simple. I mean, I know better. I know better, but it works. And and if you become proficient at it, it is a money making machine. Like I said, the most durable, dependable strategy, I think, in the real estate business of all the strategies. That's how I got here. I know how to do them all. I do a lot of them on a regular basis, a lot of other strategies too. I'll do whatever strategy the property calls for. But my main thing is to buy houses and seller finance them for double. That's what I shoot for. I find other things along the way and I don't want to just walk past them, but that's what I'm looking for every day.
Right. Well, we'll make sure your link's down below. And thank you for coming on, Mitch. Folks, thank you for tuning in today. You haven't done so. Make sure you subscribe. And if you want to get hold of Mitch, again, info below, or contact me and I'll put you in touch. All right. Mitch, good luck with everything there in San Antonio. Oh, there you go. There's the book right there. Financial Freedom. That's a thick one.
There's one of them. Don't be scared of that. Most people read that book in 2 settings, and there's a reason why. So you'll figure it out.
All right. Thank you, Mitch.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.